From the Ministry of the Presidency in Georgetown, this is This Week with the President.
Welcome to This Week with the President, a weekly news magazine which provides an in-depth look at the policies, programs, and work of Guyana's President. In the highlights this week, President says Amerindian culture and traditions must be preserved. Private sector and mayor and city council to work together for the good of Georgetown. And economic diversification on the front burner in bid to boost the economy. Stay with us. Guyana's indigenous population accounts for about 10.5% of the country's overall population. Designated Indigenous Heritage Month, September is when Guyanese pay homage to and celebrate the contributions of the country's first people to national development. Since taking office, the President has restructured the ministry formerly known as the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs to become the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, to emphasize their importance to the country. Through the ministry and other connected agencies, various initiatives have been undertaken, which have seen many communities being able to improve their economic positions.
It is a celebration of the breadth and the wealth of Guyana's indigenous cultures. It is a month to savor our diversity. It is a month to take action to preserve this rich culture, to protect, to promote, and to preserve the customs and traditions of our indigenous peoples. The Akawayo, the Arawak, the Arekuna, the Carib, the Makushi, the Patamona, the Waiwai, the Wapishana, and the Warao. Our Constitution says that indigenous peoples shall have the right, not may, shall have the right to the protection, preservation, and promulgation of their languages, cultural heritage, and way of life. That is a right. And we saw this evening a demonstration of that right. And every year in September, today being the 1st of September, we renew our commitment to ensure that that right is not diminished in any way. Indigenous communities are the repositories of the cultural heritage of our first peoples. The protection, preservation, and propagation of values and traditions and the way of life of Guyana's indigenous peoples, therefore, must take place within those villages, within those communities. Ladies and gentlemen, the cultural heritage of our indigenous communities, unfortunately, is under threat.
The President noted that the slow pace of economic growth threatens communities' cultural heritage, as limited economic opportunities over the past 2 decades have caused social distress and migration. Communities, he said, have lost some of their human capital through the migration of persons to neighboring countries in search of employment.
Social problems have increased. We know that educational standards in the hinterland communities lag behind those of the coastland. Vector-borne diseases take a toll on human health. Environmental degradation caused by reckless mining and logging affects the hinterland more than any other part of the country. Rivers have been polluted. The infrastructure, aerodromes, bridges, roads, and stellings is inadequate. In some cases, there has been alcoholism, abuse of minors, trafficking in persons, and as a result, the quality of life in some places in the hinterland has deteriorated.
To help solve some of these problems, the President said that indigenous communities need very strong structures of government. However, because of the small number of communities and the great distance between them, it is difficult to give them the type of governance they need. The threats, if left unchecked, could hasten disintegration and hinder the ability of Indigenous communities to propagate their values, traditions, and way of life.
The Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs has work to do, but its work is more complicated than the work of other ministries because it's controlling populations scattered over 30,000 square kilometers in over 200 communities in all 10 regions. It is not easy. Under the Act, the ministry has to work with other ministries if it is to fulfill its mandate. Its mandate for hinterland development, including matters such as hinterland electrification and resource management. Education, health, physical infrastructure, security responses have to be coordinated with the respective line ministries responsible for these sectors.
Just last week at the National Tushaus Council Conference, President Granger announced the establishment of a National Indigenous Peoples Authority, an administrative agency with a national reach that fills the gap between the village and the ministry and support the implementation of policies made by the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, decisions made by the National Tushaus Council, and the plans of the village councils.
Implementation is the muscle of progress, and intentions will remain mere words without implementation. Governance structures are needed to address the problems which keep our indigenous communities unequal to those in other parts of the country.
Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Mr. Sidney Allicock, said that his ministry has been working around the clock with the various indigenous communities across the country. One of the areas work is being done, he said, is the preservation of languages, customs, traditions, and the way of life.
Let us take the time during this period to remember those who have gone before us, those who have worked so hard to keep our environment intact, those who are here who are making that effort to continue the process, and for those who are yet to come, we need to plan of how we are going to leave a legacy for those persons.
The month-long calendar of events commenced on August 31st with an interfaith service, followed by the official launch on September 1st at the Indigenous Heritage Village at the Sophia Exhibition Complex. The celebrations are being held under the theme Our Culture, Earth's Future, Save the Environment, Live the Indigenous Way of Life. It is in keeping with the government's push for a green economy. The effective management of a city takes a collaborative effort so as to ensure that the interests of all stakeholders are adequately addressed. Recognizing the need for such cooperative efforts, President Granger has mandated the establishment of a joint committee between the Georgetown Mayor and City Council and the private sector. At a meeting at the Ministry of the Presidency on September 1st, the President met with representatives from central government, the Georgetown Mayor and City Council, and the private sector to discuss matters affecting the city. Following discussions among stakeholders, the President mandated that a joint committee be established within 7 days. This body will be supported and facilitated by central government through the Minister of Communities, Mr. Ronald Bulkan, and it is expected to ensure greater cooperation and collaboration among these stakeholders. The President said that it is important that these agencies work together for the good of the capital city, as they have all the vested interest in its development and wish to achieve the same goals with regards to the well-being of the city and its people in the area of sanitation, safety, increased business, effective administration, and other matters. Minister Bulkan said that the administration welcomes the agreement for partnership between the private sector and the municipality, adding that it is important all stakeholders work together to ensure that the administrative and other matters of the city are addressed.
Whatever revenue garnering measures are being contemplated and anticipated will require significant involvement at the level of the central government, both in terms of identification as well as instituting and implementing. So I think today's meeting is very important in the sense that it signals agreement and acceptance on the part of the major stakeholders, that what is required is this, as you've said, collaborative and cooperative approach as opposed to any confrontation. And it is only in that way that we can ensure that the level of efficiency that is needed to manage the city according to modern standards.
Mayor Patricia Chase Green, in an invited comment, said that the decision taken by the president will help to put the relationship between the council and the private sector on a more stable footing.
The committee that will be set up is one that the president would have more or less put the concrete on, because we would have been meeting with the private sector before on some issues in Georgetown. At the end of the day, I'm happy that we came out with the president and the minister saying, look, we're not going to put that controlling hand on the city council. We're not going to reverse the decisions. But we want us to work all together. And I'm happy for that we can work. And we've been trying to work out with the private sector.
Former chairman of the private sector, Mr. Ramesh Prasad, expressed thanks to the president for convening the meeting and for endorsing the need for dialogue between the business community and the mayor and city councillors of Georgetown.
We believe it's important for us to modernize the city of Georgetown and all our other towns with regards to the services provided to business. Local government organs are very, very important with regards to the competitiveness of business. We are an important stakeholder in accessing the services of the city. We do understand that the city needs revenue to accomplish their vision. We believe that their vision of having a modern city requires such revenue, such capital. Members of the business community also are of the opinion that the vision that the mayor has expressed and the members of the city council, that we would like to have an input. And I believe that the committee that has just been convened will facilitate such dialogue, will facilitate such input. It will ensure that business community understand what is taking place within the city council, and that the city council could also understand the implication of some of the decisions on business, the pricing of our products, the consumer impacts, and so forth. So we believe this committee will give us that opportunity to dialogue, and together we will all work together towards a modern city.
Across the globe, economic diversification has been touted as a primary means through which economies achieve and maintain stability and growth. The idea is that the wider a country's economic portfolio becomes, the less vulnerable it becomes. In Guyana's case, the process of diversifying from traditional rice, sugar, bauxite, and timber is one that must be accelerated in order for the economy to grow. The country has vast potential to dominate the region in areas like agro-processing and value-added production. This can be done in keeping with its green agenda, which in itself will open multiple avenues for entrepreneurship in green construction, green employment, green enterprises, environmental services, sustainable energy generation, coastal zone management, solid waste management, wildlife management, and protected area system.
So we feel that there is a wide area for diversification, particularly in agro-processing, producing chips, juices, milk products, cheese, biscuits, and so on. And we believe that much of what could be produced in Guyana could be exported to the Eastern Caribbean, which has a very healthy hospitality industry. There are many hotels there which can make use of our avocado pears and our juices and fish and other products. So really it is in the agricultural field that we see the economy being diversified, particularly in agro-processing. There's a facility at Parika which is hardly used. So it's a question of stimulating the enterprise. That is why I was so heartened by what I saw at the SLED exhibition last week.
The Sustainable Livelihood and Entrepreneurial Development Program, SLED, that the President spoke about, is designed to provide support for the expansion of local economies in communities across the country and to assist micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises. Over 160 Guyanese youths recently graduated from the program, 99 of which are now budding entrepreneurs.
The SLED initiative emphasizes this administration's employment policy by encouraging entrepreneurship, particularly for young people. It contradicts the criticisms that this administration has no plan for the unemployed and the underemployed. The SLED initiative is part of a program that reinforces the administration's efforts to stimulate economic development in communities, especially the grassroots level. It has provided training, mentorship, business development skills, and startup grants to individuals and groups.
Recognizing that one of the main drivers of entrepreneurship is investment, the government launched the Linden Enterprise Network, or LEN microcredit scheme, in Region 10 last year with the aim of boosting small businesses and creating employment.
Microcredit can transform this community, can transform this region. It can lift people out of poverty. Microcredit can establish and boost small businesses. It can create jobs for young people and for women. And I believe that investment at the level that is below that which is desirable at some of the big banks. Some of the banks wouldn't see you. Micro who? Come to the wrong place, go down the road to LEN. Well, LEN is here now. And we are going to provide microcredit to small persons, as our founder leader taught us. Small persons, small men and women.
Now we take a look inside the President's diary. On Thursday, the head of state was paid a courtesy call by this year's top-performing CSEC student, Ms. Fatima Karim. Karim, who attained 19 grade 1s and 1 grade 2, told the president all about her plans to pursue studies in petroleum engineering at the University of Texas in the United States once she completes sixth form studies at Queens College. Later, the president met with 6-year-old Alex Garraway, who wrote to him expressing his desire to meet him in person. He was accompanied by his mother, Miss Marcia Allen, and 2 brothers, Alistair Garraway and George Allen. And now we take a look at the lighter side of the president. And this week we ask, can he dance? For many Guyanese, President David Granger is seen as a strict and disciplined man who was once a commander in the Guyana Defense Force. Last evening, we learned that the president does shake a leg from time to time. At the launch of the Indigenous Heritage Month activities on Friday evening, the president not only outlined his government's plan for the First Peoples of this country, but he also used the opportunity to showcase his dance talents in Indigenous style. Take a look and decide for yourself, can the president dance? And with that, we've come to the end of this week's program. For regular updates on the Ministry of the Presidency, go to our website, www.motp.gov.gy. Like our Facebook page, Ministry of the Presidency, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MOTP Guyana. Do have a safe and productive rest of the week. Goodbye.